Hey guys, thanks for joining me, and if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples. Welcome to Sharp Ends. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be doing a disassembly of this Talism today, but I'm going to be doing it in fast forward. So when I stop talking here, this knife is going to become apart, and then when it's apart, I'm going to talk about what I found on the inside. So this will be an abbreviated disassembly video, but this is a flipper. It's D2 and it's $28. Uh, it has this flipper tab, obviously, but also the fuller is deep enough that you can actually finger flick it very nicely. And the action on it is superb. It is almost perfectly centered, maybe just a titch to the show scale side, but not really that much. I just took apart the TACOG as well, which I think, depending on when I published that video, came out last week. This is 14C28N, which is a substantially better steel, I think, than D2, and costs $30. So, yeah. Anyway, so now if you are watching this video and you've made it this far, if you could leave a comment down below, I'd truly appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and take this apart. So we're going to fast forward. And we're back. Okay. So, very interesting. What is going on with that? All right. So, here we have the knife disassembled. So a couple of things. For $28, they had two different kinds of hardware on there, which is fine. But on the $30 knife, they only had one size hardware, which I believe was a T8, and this is T8 and T6. Again, you have the nice pressed bearings that they have in here, and the liner lockup is very good. It's very greasy though, so a lot of grease in there. I definitely suggest taking yours apart if you decide to get one and cleaning it up, because the amount of grease on this lock bar is just insane, and we don't want any grease on that lock bar. The PVD coating on here is good, and the machining is good as well. Another thing that I kind of find irritating about this, or not irritating, but that I don't like, is the fact that you had to take the back screw out of the clip in order, because it goes into the spacer at the back. Not a deal breaker, but not ideal either, because I just like it when you don't have to deal with taking the clip off. Having said that, like, this guy here has this open slot here, makes it much easier to take off the screws. And this clip is great here on the TACOG, and you don't have to take the clip off at all. This one you do, and it doesn't have that slot right here. And I don't like that, because it makes getting to that screw much harder. Having said that, this was fairly easy knife to take apart. One thing that I do like about this is that the pivot isn't free spinning. It's actually machined here on one side of the screw head. They've actually done a little indent here so that it's not free spinning, and the M of the McGurran always stays on the same side. All right, so that is cool. I'm going to go ahead and put this back together again and oil it in high speed again. And then at the end, I'm going to have some final thoughts about this. All right, let's go to warp speed. All right, and we're back. The reassembly of this was a little bit trickier than the TACOG, and the Talism has two different kinds of hardware, not easy access to this back screw, although it was fine. I was able to do it. and all around. And then putting it back together again, I had a little trouble centering it again, but I was able to twist it, and by loosening the pivot and this back spacer, back nut, and then twisting it and holding it over while I tighten it back down, got it perfectly centered. Action is great. A ridiculous amount of oil was sent in this between the scale and the liners and everywhere else. This thing was dripping oil. Like, they have a crazy amount of money for that. It's crazy that what this knife got right for $30, this knife had a couple of more shortcuts to make it 28. And this is D2, this is 14C. Overall, I think I like this knife better, even though it's a front flipper and a thumb flicker. But having said that, $28, you really can't go wrong for that. I would say, though, that given the amount of oil that was in there, it's probably well worth opening it up, cleaning it up, getting that oil out of there, and then lubricating it a little bit less. Nice machining in there overall. So, for a budget knife, I think it's totally expected to have a couple of corners cut. And this wasn't that difficult, but then again, it was more difficult than the knife that was $2 more expensive. So, and this comes in black too, if you don't like the green color. This one does have a little bit more rounding to the G10 than this guy, which is interesting. And this one is reversible too. This one, you can reverse the clip, and so lefties will enjoy this knife, whereas this knife here, this is only for righties. So there's that as well. All right, thanks so much for joining me, guys. And if you want to become, get a chance to win a knife every month, you can become a Patreon member down below for $3 a month. I will be coming out with a review of this in a couple of days, and you can check that out. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.